finally in the modern world for at least a brief visit, shall we? So in May, Abby Glines released a companion book to her new adult novel, Fallen Too Far. It's called Rush Too Far. It's the same story but told from Rush's perspective. I was skeptical, to say the least. I usually don't like rereading the same story within 5 years of reading the first one, and Fallen Too Far is like 2 years old. But yeah, I devoured this book, and then immediately picked up Fallen Too Far to compare the stories. It was actually kind of fascinating to read the exact same dialogue, but interpreted through two very different internal monologues. So after being all grumbly, don't like rereading the same story in 5 years, I reread it twice in the same night, essentially. And since I reread Fallen Too Far, and it was just as addicting as the first time I read it, it jumps to my sparingly used 5-star rating level. I then followed that up by also reading the second book in the series over again, Never Too Far. I don't love this one as much as the first book, as there's moments in this book where you're like, okay, you're overreacting. And then there are moments where you're like, you're not reacting enough. But I still love the basic plot of this book, and so I'll ignore the eye-rolly bits in favor of the bits. I stopped my rereading crusade here, though, as I'm not a big fan of the next couple books in this series. Beautiful Disaster by Jamie McGuire. This book is fun to read, even just to see how it influenced the new adult books that followed it. I had one major problem which threw me, though. Okay, this does describe a story event somewhat. It won't really reveal anything plot-changing, but if you don't want to hear about the story at all, please fast forward to the next book. Okay, so the scene where he drags her out of the party and has the designated driver take them home, she clearly says no and let me out of this car, but the DD doesn't say or do a thing, which is not cool. That seriously bothered me. Okay, End Rent. Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. This is new adult romance. It's about a girl who's been homeschooled all her life and what, really more like who, she experiences when she goes to school for the first time. This book is a good example of the genre. I liked it. Second Chance Boyfriend, new adult by Monica Murphy, the second book in the One Week Girlfriend Quartet. When I finished the first book, I was waffling on whether I wanted to continue the series. I decided to try the second to see if it improved. It really didn't for me, so I think I'm not continuing on in this series. This series is almost there, but Reflected in You, the second book in the contemporary romance series Crossfire by Sylvia Day, and also the third book Entwined in You. This series is 50 Shades-esque, but not as good, so the first book of this was silly at times, but still engaging, but after that, the series took some fairly melodramatic plot twists that even my mad powers of being able to ignore absolute ridiculousness were overpowered. I will say that though the characters in this are not a great example of healthy relationships, I do appreciate any series that incorporates going to a therapist as a positive thing, even for the alpha male characters, which is not something a lot of other series are doing, so thumbs up for that. Wallbanger by Alice Clayton, contemporary romance of the humorous variety. This didn't really catch me till it caught me, and then I stayed up really late to finish it. Loved the banter, and I didn't even find the entire sections of just texting or the entire sections of just thinking. You'll know what I mean when you get there. Anyway, I didn't find it forced, it felt organic and served the story well. It's a very good book. Always on My Mind by Jill Shalvis, the 8th book in the Lucky Harbor contemporary romance series. As you've probably noticed, this is one of my favorite series, but this one is weak. It takes the oft-done best friends pretend to be dating plotline and doesn't really do it justice. So what are your thoughts on these? Have you read them?